Hi, and welcome to RhinoLands. In this video, we will see an overview of the interface basics of the program. First of all, we can see 4 different viewports from where we will develop our project. There is one viewport in perspective view, another from the top view, another from the front, and another one from the right. To tumble on the perspective view, right-click and drag. If we do the same on the other viewports, we will do a pan zoom. With the mouse middle button, we will be able to zoom in and zoom out. And also, if we hold Ctrl key and right-click. Each viewport has a name tab. If we double-click on it, we will maximize it. And if we double-click again, we will minimize it back to the 4 views. Also, we can find the viewport tabs at the bottom of the interface to cycle through the active view. We can also see an additional tab for the page layout that will let us work on the paper space. By clicking on this plus arrow, we will be able to add new layout or a new floating viewport. If we click on the arrow next to the viewport name, we'll see a drop-down menu to change the display mode, the view, and many other settings. Around our viewports and working space, we can find different toolbars, containers, and panels. At the top, we can find the standard bar. In this toolbar, we can find the basic action we can do on the current file. If we click on this file, we will be able to open a new document, save the document, and some more options. We can find also these tools here, as well as other basic options like cut, copy and paste, undo and redo, some zoom operations, and some other commands to set construction plane origin, select objects, show and hide objects, isolate objects, lock objects, or toggle the 2D and 3D display. At the right side of this standard toolbar, we can find some basic options for our license and some other tools to control the window layout, open Grasshopper, the options, or the help of the program. Right below the standard toolbar, we find the main toolbar group. From these different tabs, we can find all the commands necessary to develop our project. We can start with the 2D drawing commands, which will let us create and edit 2D geometry, from basic 2D objects to other 2D editing tools. Next, we can find the modeling tools. We can create surfaces, 3D primitives, extrusions, and more complex 3D geometry. We can also find here all the commands to edit 3D objects. In the next tab, we can find all the commands related to terrains. Commands to import them from the cloud, from dem or gist data, elevate curves, or some commands to do operations on terrains. In the next tab, we find all the commands to insert vegetation elements, as well as hardscape objects. Next, we can find some irrigation tools. In the next tab, we can find all the documentation tools, from slopes, level marks, command to zonify the project, all the listing commands to create reports of the objects that we have in the model, some more tools for plant photos, labels, and more, and finally, the tools to dimension our project. We can also find here the tools to work on the paper space and create new layouts and new detail views in each layout. In the next tab, we can find all the tools related to visualization. So we can find here tools to set different views from each viewport, or a shortcut to change the display mode in each view. We can also find here the command to shot renders of the scene. Finally, we have some other commands to select objects by type. On the left side, we can see the side toolbar, where we will find the typical transform commands to do common actions on geometry, such as copy, move, rotate, or scale objects. Actually, some of these commands have a little arrow at the bottom right corner, and if we click on it, we'll be able to see a nested toolbar with some additional commands. We can drag this toolbar out of the place and have it as a floating toolbar that could be moved into another position. We can just close it, and it will be available anytime that we click on this small arrow. At the bottom of the interface, we can find the command line, from where we can call the commands by their name. By typing the command name or a keyword, for example, plant, the command line will show the commands available related to that, and we just need to select the desired one. If we do right-click on the command line, we'll see the last command run. The command line will guide us through the different commands, showing the different steps to follow and the options available for each operation. We can move this command line from these 4 points until the cursor changes to this double arrow. Then we can drag it and move to a floating dialog, and we can move it to another position in our interface. We need to select it from the header and move it next to the place where we want to dock it until these blue spots appear. In that moment, we need to move it next to one of these spots until it extends to the position where the command line will be docked. We release it, and this way we can change its position. Now we can move it back to the bottom of the interface. Right below the command line, we can find the Osnap and the status toolbar, from where we can activate the grid snap, ortho mode, the Osnaps, the Gumball, and other modeling aids. The Osnap toolbar can be also moved out of this place in the same way we did with the command line. And we can move it, for example, to that side, part of the dialog. Or we can close it. In that case, we can recover this toolbar by double-clicking on the Osnap button and move it back to the original place. Finally, on the right side of the interface, we can find the RhinoLands panels located in a container. We can move this container as a floating dialog and dock it back to the side of the interface. We need to select it from these 4 points and move it until this blue spot appears. By default, there are several panels open, such as the Edit panel, the Properties panel, the Layers panel, Materials, Sun, Rendering, Named Views, and the Animation panel. Any of them can be moved outside of this container by dragging it from the tab. And to move it back to a new container, we need to select it from these 4 points until the cursor changes to this double arrow. And again, we need to move it next to the desired spot and release it. Now we can select other tabs and move them into this new container. We can drag this new container off and close it, if you like. All these panels and some more are available from this window layout icon. And that's been a quick overview of the RhinoLands interface. Thanks for watching.